Well, now it's time to take what we've learned and see what we can apply to our website project. So let me close up this file that we were working on, and let's go down and open up our website project folder. And what I'd like to do is go to the cable cars page. So let's open that up in our browser, and I'll open it in our TextEdit application as well. Currently, our cable cars page has a link at the bottom for watching the cable car video. I'd like to make a nice graphic button that'll pop right up here that my user can click on to go to the video as well. Now, of course, we could just use a JPEG for this button that we're going to make. But as we think more and more about the internet on mobile devices, the more graphics that we have in our HTML file, the better. Because our graphic file, while we do have to write it as a program, is a lot smaller than downloading JPEG graphics. In essence, the graphics are encoded right in the text of the HTML itself. And while that's great for a desktop audience, it's really going to be important for mobile, where they have to get all their graphics over some phone connection. So let's take a look at making that graphic right here inside of our cable cars page. Now, the first thing I want to do is set up a canvas so that we can use it. I'll scroll down here a little bit, and right after the header element, let's go ahead and add a canvas tag. I'll give it an ID of video button, and let's set the width and height to 300 by 200 pixels. That should be big enough to sit right next to the other cable car image. And here we'll just close up the canvas tag. And I'll skip the message for users that can't see the canvas element. They simply won't see this button and they'll use the link at the bottom. Next, we'll go up to the top of the document and we'll add a simple style in CSS for our video button tag. I'll just go right below the other link for the CSS. And we'll add a style tag and a close style. And of course, if we were going to be using buttons like this in other places in the document, I'd go ahead and put this in the CSS file instead of here in the document. But we'll put it right here for now. I'll add a style for the video button ID, #, video button. We'll give it some braces. And the first thing I want to do is float right, so it'll sit next to our other picture. Second, I want to give it a little bit of margin on the right, so it won't be butted right up against our right panel. That's margin right, and let's say about 40 pixels. And finally, I'm just going to add a temporary border so we can see exactly where our canvas is while we're working on it. We'll come back and take it off later at the end. I'll set up a border of 1 pixel solid black. And let's save our changes so far, and we'll go out and take a look at what we've drawn. And there you can see our canvas is dropped right over here next to our image. And we're going to draw a nice button up in here. What I'd like to do is use the rounded corners to be able to make a rounded gel type button. So let's go over and start that up. We've got a lot of HTML code already in here, and just to be neat, I'm going to keep my scripts down here at the bottom, right before the close body tag. So let's add a script tag here, and of course a close script. And then for our JavaScript, we want to start out our document by writing the onload event function. So we make sure that all of our page is loaded before we start executing our drawing. That's window.onload equals function. We need parentheses and some grouping braces. And then let's go ahead and set up our 2 variables for the canvas and the context so that we can get our drawing going. I'll use my var keyword, and the first variable will be canvas. You can use whatever variable name you want, but I'm going to stick with the ones we did before. I'll use my document.getElementById. And of course, we're looking for the video button. Next, we'll use our var keyword again, and I'll set up the context variable. Remember, that's the one that allows us to draw. We'll reference the canvas we just made, and we'll use the getContext function. And as before, we're going to be doing 2D drawing, so we'll get the 2D context. Now we're actually ready to start some drawing. I'll start by calling the beginPath function, context.beginPath. And then let's do a series of move2s, line2s, and arc2s that will draw our rounded button for us. I'll start with a move2, and I'll set it to 50 by 50 pixels. I've measured out all the coordinates for the elements, so I'll go ahead and put them in here, and then we'll trace out the individual line segments together when we look at it in the browser. The first element's going to be a line, so we'll use line 2. And we're going to go to 250 by 50. That should be the top straight line of our button. Next, we'll have an arc that goes around the corner. We'll start at 275 and 50 and curve around to 275, 75. The radius on that will be 25 pixels. Next, we need another arc that's going to be the bottom corner. So to save a little time, I'll copy this and paste it in, and we'll just change the coordinates. This one's going to go to 275, 100, and then 250, 100, and we'll keep the 25 pixel radius. That should draw a line across the top, and then 2 radius arcs that'll be the right side of our button. To finish it off, we need another line and 2 more arcs. So again, just to save time, I'm going to copy what we've typed so far for our drawing elements. And down below here, I'll paste them in, and we'll set up our other coordinates for the line and the 2 arcs. The first line is going to draw to 50 and 100 for an X and a Y. And the arc dimensions will start at 25 pixels over on the left-hand side, 100 for Y, and draw up to 25, 75. Again, keeping the 25 pixel radius at the end. And our final arc will start at 25 for X and go to 50 for Y, and then draw up to the coordinate 50, 50. And our 25 pixels here at the end. Now we want to make sure that our drawing looks okay, so let's set it up so that we can preview it. Right down below here, I'm just going to call the stroke function. We haven't set up any styles, so it's just going to give us a black line, but we'll at least be able to see the segments of our drawing so we can critique them. I'll save my changes. Let's go back out to our document and refresh. And there we can see the lines that we've drawn. The top line, then 2 rounded arcs for the right side, the bottom line, and 2 more arcs. Next, I want to dress it up with a little fill style. I'd like to do a gradient that goes from the top to the bottom. So we need to draw a gradient line that's linear, and we need to set up coordinates that give it the direction of this top to bottom orientation, and then just add some color stops. So let's go back over to our document. And down here below the stroke, let's work on the fill. First, I'll create a gradient. I'll use grad as my variable name again, and we'll use the context.createLinearGradient function. What I'll do is draw a line that starts at 50, 50, and goes down to 50, 100. And that'll be top to bottom on our button. Next, let's add a couple of color stops. And that function is grad.addColorStop. I'll specify the position. This one will be at the start of the gradient, so that's 0. And I'd like to use the light blue out of our styles. So that's # 5E 7C88. And that's the lighter blue that we're using on the page. Now I want 2 more color stops, so to save a little typing, I'll just copy that line and add it in 2 more times. And I want to stop at 0.6, which is a little bit more than halfway through the gradient. And for that, I'd like the color to be white. So we'll just use the named color for that. And then I'd like it to go back to the same blue color, but have it be at the end of the gradient. So we'll just change this value to 1. Now let's apply our gradient. I'll first set the gradient to our fill style. That's context.fillStyle. And we'll set that equal to our grad variable. Then we'll just call the context fill function. Let's save our changes and see what it looks like. And there we can see our nice gradient fill on the button.